What's going on, gamer? So, I know you guys saw my last video. I got that up early, obviously ahead of time, probably more than other people, but we got some more news that came out that needs to be talked about. One, Herman Host, obviously his obsession with Horizon, his position takeover as CEO, which to me, I do not agree. He should have been removed from that position a while ago. And then obviously he was a president at one point. That didn't work out. We saw that, right? Sony got a little bit too ahead of themselves with him. Then you had Jim Ryan too over there, and in Europe doing too much damage to the PlayStation brand. Yeah, you got yourselves, but you're not making really good decisions when it comes to development and direction and live service. Like there's a lot to be questioned here. So he sent an email, and now we get to read the email what happened with Bluepoint Games. On top of that, a lot of people are questioning his leadership, and some people want him fired. I mean, I can't say I blame him. Sean Layden and Shuhei Yoshida did a much better job. They were much better leaders. They wouldn't have made these type of mistakes, and it's just ridiculous. So Herman Host says right here, email to employees. We're operating in an increasingly challenging industry environment. Rising development costs, slowed industry growth, changing player behavior, and broader economic headwinds are making it harder to build games sustainably. The studio will close down in March. This is what it says. Here's the thing here. It says, we're operating in an increasingly challenging industry environment. We go with that again, but that still has nothing to do with the decision you made to put them on a live service game, God of War. That should have never happened. And obviously, from what I've read, they put them on something else after that, and they didn't like it. That's why the shutdown is happening. You see rising development costs, which everybody's talking about, slowed industry growth, changing player behavior, and broader economic headwinds are making it harder to build games sustainably. Oh boy, so here goes the email right here, guys. We're going to talk about some other things when it comes to host and just things that people need to definitely pay attention to. It says, hello, everyone. I wanted to share an important update from the studio business. As I mentioned in the December Town Hall, 2025 had some strong highlights within PlayStation Studios. Ghost of Yote launched to critical and commercial success. Yeah. Death Stranding 2 on the Beach further showcased our commitment to narrative excellence. Kojima's team, that's what they do. And Helldivers 2 and MLB The Show continue to drive ongoing player engagement and revenue. Okay, yeah, of course, that's what you want. At the same time, we're operating in an increasingly challenging industry environment. Rising development costs, slowed industry growth, as we were just reading, changing player behavior, and broader economic headwinds are making it harder to build games sustainably. So basically, they're saying that Bluepoint cancel should have never happened. That's not Bluepoint's fault. That's your fault. You should have not done no God of War live service game with a remake team. Should have trusted that to Sony Santa Monica or somebody that, you know what I mean? It's like they made this mistake also with the recent indie game. It's like, no, you're making these mistakes and you're punishing them for that. They deserved another chance. Should have put them on a remake. To navigate this reality, we need to continue adapting and evolving. Fine. We've taken a close look at our business to ensure we're delivering today while still well positioned for the future. Here's the thing, bro. You've made a lot of mistakes with live service. You definitely, Jim Ryan. You greenlit Concord, talking about that's the baby. It's going to be the Star Wars of PlayStation. And then you want that Horizon co-op game going on too. Nah, dude, you made too many mistakes, man. And it's weird that Bluepoint is taking a fall for your ego instead of you admitting that. It's ridiculous. Like, we've taken a close look at our business to ensure we're delivering today while still well positioned for the future. Of course, you're going to be fine no matter what. As a result, we will be closing Bluepoint Games in March. Mind blowing. This decision was not made lightly, they said. Yeah, I bet. Bluepoint is an incredibly talented team, and their technical expertise has delivered exceptional experiences for the PlayStation community. I want to thank everyone at Bluepoint for their creativity, craftsmanship, and commitment to quality PR. Where possible, we will work to find opportunities for some impacted employees within our global network of studios. Yeah, if you can put them in other Sony aspects, that would be good. But it's like, what are you going to do to get another remake team? And he says, while I know this is hard news to hear, I'm confident in the direction we're headed. I think we need somebody directing things a little bit differently here than Herman Hulst. He was fine where he was at Guerrilla Games and leading that. I don't think he should have been put into that position because ever since, I don't know, he hasn't done that good of a job. Creativity, innovation, and building unforgettable experiences, which is not the Horizon Gathering game, for players remain at the heart of PlayStation Studios. We have a robust roadmap for fiscal year 2026, which much to look forward to in the months ahead. Thank you for your hard work and continued support. And as you see, right here, Herman Hulst, CEO, Studio Business Group. It's like, this is a bad call. You remember we were saying we needed to get the answer who did this? This is why we got the email. Bad call by him. Bad call by the leaders. It's ridiculous. And guys, we got other information here to talk about. Let's back up here a little bit and go over to Jason Schreier. He actually ended up commenting a little bit more, as we see right here in this. If I zoom in for you guys, you could possibly see this, because when you click on it, it doesn't show that. He commented again saying, roughly 70 employers will be impacted by the Bluepoint closure. So 70 people in that remake team pretty much are done. Bluepoint was working on a God of War live service game until it was canceled early last year. That was last year. So what were they doing all the way last year, all the way up till now? The studio then spent the last year pitching and trying to determine what it would do next. And if you go to his Blue Sky, you can get the full story there on a Bloomberg article, which of course they're going to have walled off because that's what they do. So he did an updated information because this is what everybody was going off of at first. And then this came out a little bit later. And then that came out. And as you see, 7 minutes from obviously in the morning, which is like 10, almost 11 o'clock. So more information kept on coming out. You see what I mean? So this gives you the idea about what happened here, guys. And then if we go up, Oliver posted something like, this is what happened when Sony first acquired Bluepoint here. It says Sony Interactive Entertainment to acquire Bluepoint. If you guys don't remember, this was late 2021, October. So it's been about 3.5 years or a little bit more. They're down here in Austin, Texas. And it says San Mateo right here. Sony Interactive Entertainment announced today that Sony Interactive Entertainment has entered into a definitive agreement to acquire Bluepoint Games, a premier developer and long-term partner of Sony Interactive Entertainment. When you think about Sony with stuff like that, long-term, they never usually get rid of people like that. Their relationship always gets better. This is always weird, but that's the change of leadership, which I don't agree with. With a history of developing critically acclaimed remasters and remakes for PlayStation console. Or PlayStation consoles. With their relationship spanning more than 15 years, Bluepoint's expertise in high-quality world building and character creation will aid in development of the future PlayStation Studio properties. So when you think about this, you had them on single-player games and remakes. Why would you change that? This is the core that people are questioning. Why would you do that? How is that not leadership issues either? Because it's like, wait, I don't want my remake team that's been with me for 15 years that we built this connection with, and then I acquired you to work on a live service game. You should have just been, you had already had a remake out. You had an extra game out already. With each of its projects, Bluepoint has continued to raise the bar on console-defining visuals and gameplay, developing some of the highest quality remasters and remakes in the industry. Yet they're being punished. Bluepoint's most recent release, the PS5 remake of Demon's Souls, was a critically acclaimed launch title for the PS5 console and has sold more than 1.4 million copies since releasing on November 12, 2020. Other titles in Bluepoint's portfolio include the PS4 remakes and remasters of Uncharted, the Nathan Drake Collection, Shadow Colossus, Gravity Rush, and many more. Based in Austin, Texas, Bluepoint will join the global development operation of PlayStation Studios and will be the 16th studio to join the PlayStation family. And they were saying they've been an incredible partner. And this is Jim Ryan's decision to actually get them at that time. But then you wonder, where did the live service rush come in from? Him and Herman Hulst. He had to leave. Herman Hulst had to step down from the president position, and then they fire him, and you're like, wait, hold on. You're not making any sense here. They should be given the opportunity to go back on a single-player remake. And then you can see what happens after that. Not another live service. If you put them on another live service because they said they were trying to decide what they wanted to pitch next, it should have been a remake of a single-player PlayStation IP. It doesn't make any sense here. So this was what Sony said about them back in October 2021, right? Bluepoint's roster of critically acclaimed PlayStation remakes and remasters is unmatched. And with each of its projects, the team has surpassed the high-quality standards we look for at PlayStation Studios, said Herman Hulst. So you see here, Herman Hulst and Jim Ryan. These are the two guys, head of PlayStation Studios. Interesting stuff here, right, guys? Going all the way back down here, looking at this email, like realizing his obsession with Horizon. You made a bad decision by not even having Horizon, the MMO with NCSoft, be day one on PlayStation. That should have never been not happening. You know what I mean? And then this co-op gatherings. when they should have been working on Horizon 3 or doing something like Killzone along with Bluepoint doing another game. You guys had an opportunity to get out like 4 extra games this gen that could have been along with what you're doing already. And this would have been a phenomenal generation. Like, think about Naughty Dog's cancel game too. It's this live service curse that's still kind of hanging around. And you said you've learned your lesson with Concord. It doesn't seem like you fully learned it yet. And this needs to go back on Herman Host and back to what Jim Ryan is doing, who's not there anymore. So he's the guy that's left over. Sean Layden did a much better job. So did Shuhei. So, I mean, people have been telling Sony for years Herman Host is not the guy for directing this job. He should have been staying the leader at Guerrilla and staying there. And probably had support to that on and off. But seeing this is like, what are we doing here? You know what I mean? No. But here we go, guys. We're sitting over here, and he's still in that position, and he's doing this. And I don't get how the guys like Nishino and Totoki are sitting there looking, not realizing that this is a bad decision by him. And something needs to be done. Like, you got people on Twitter saying things about him, like he needs to be fired. I mean, if we type in Herman Host, I guarantee you're going to see people talking about stuff. Herman Host running PlayStation Studios. Herman Host email to employees. For F's sake, Porterbox says, get this man Herman Host fired already. You got somebody saying that. Herman Host tries to give us Concord and call it the future of PlayStation. Then he closes Bluepoint and he gets to be the head of PlayStation Studios. A lot of people are saying this about him. Herman Host should be fired. RGT came and said it. Herman Host launches a seemingly successful single-player story-driven game that becomes a tentpole franchise. Also, Herman Host F single-player games. Let's bring in the money. All cylinders on gas games. Let's go. Make it make sense. So you see, there's like a trend going on with him right now where his leadership is in question. There was nothing wrong with him being with Sony, being with Guerrilla, and doing what he was doing. I think he was doing an excellent job with that. But when you put somebody in the wrong position they don't belong in, then things start going south real quick. He's not meant to lead in that type of position. Herman Host's run at PlayStation Studios. What does he even do for real, bro? They should start with laying off Herman Host. Always laying off game developers. F y'all, that's what they're saying. How does Herman Host still have a job after all the live service failures? He's in the wrong position. He needs to go back to Guerrilla. You see? And then people saying, F Herman Host. You see what I mean? Herman Host email to employees right here. Massive shout out to Herman Host. You see what I mean? You got this type of stuff going on. What a complete fumble, dude. The Herman Host live service era and what it has led to will be talked about for a while. This sucks. It feels like such an obvious thing to keep going since PlayStation is loaded with IPs that could use fun remakes. And that's what people are saying when it comes to this type of stuff. So, I mean, guys, we're seeing it right here. People are not happy with this decision. We got the updated email. We took a look at what Sony said about them back then when Jim Ryan made that decision along with the other guys at Sony and what Herman Host said about them and then the decisions that they're making now. But it's like, who initiated this live service gas rush like this and all these titles all at once when you should have stuck to what works? You know what I mean? It's like, don't go too far off the rail. Find a balance. There's nothing wrong with you going after live service, but find a balance with it. You went way too far. And then we got right here Sony trending with Bluepoint and Jim Ryan. So we know they're going to say stuff about Jim Ryan as well, too. I mean, guys, it's here. Herman Host, the current head of PlayStation Studios, has always been part of marketing and management. He didn't come from the trenches of game development, nor did he create Killzone or Horizon at Guerrilla Games. The decisions are being made by a businessman, and it shows. So if you click on the trending aspects, too, as you see Bluepoint, Jim Ryan, he's trending. You know what I mean? Jim Ryan and Herman Host have done generational damage to the PlayStation brand, man. I really miss Shuhei Yoshida and Sean Layden combo. This focus was single player, new ideas, real exclusives, smaller games. There was a balance there. What a time the PS4 era was. Herman and Jim Ryan really did ruin the PS5 generation. Clowns. I mean, it's still good, but it's like, yeah, there could have been an even more amazing like generation where it could have been a golden generation. They had that opportunity. But there was too much mess ups, and yeah, these guys, and you letting Europe run the show too much. You had that disconnect from Japan as well too, and it was like, yeah, you shouldn't be doing that. But this is what happens. So a lot of people are criticizing these guys right now, and he's getting the heat because he's still at PlayStation. I want you guys to let me know what you think about this. Leave a comment down below. As usual, yeah, man, Sony had some good stuff going, and then this bad news pops up right here. So this is definitely a dent in their pretty good pro-consumer spree, but hey, here comes a fumble, and it happens, as we all know it. It's happened to Microsoft a lot with the Xbox. It happens to Windows a lot. I mean, now it's like you guys got to think very carefully about what you do next when it comes to live service. and other things. Nobody's seen this coming. This is obviously terrible news. So let's see what happens next with Herman Hulst and what those leaders in Japan decide to do. Peace out, y'all.